Hello, I'm Kevin Benedict, Senior Vice President of Solution Strategy here at Regalix, and this week we're reporting live from VMworld 2018 here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm just excited to be able to bring back a good friend of mine, Tony Kueh. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. So Tony is the Vice President of Product Management here, focused on all kinds of the coolest parts of VMware, at least from my perspective here. So Tony, talk to the audience here and just tell them a little bit about what comes under the umbrella of VP of Product Management.
Sure, Kevin. So, obviously, I'm very fortunate to be at VMware, and there's a lot of cool innovation that's happening right now, as you've seen from Pat's keynote, and we're just very excited to be in this time. This is a very exciting time now. I work in the end user computing business. Our product suite is called Workspace ONE, and specifically today I'm responsible for all the end user experiences, and then some of the future stuff that we have called Workspace ONE Intelligence, which is our analytics, AI, and machine learning platform.
All right, so listen, for those that aren't familiar with the terminology as we use it within the VMworld ecosystem, end user experience, what does that mean?
Yeah, so end user computing is essentially, you can think of it as everything outside of the data center. So our data center products are Cloud Foundation and SDDC, and something really just the core essence of the VMware business. About a little over 10 years ago, we invested into products that are focused around the edge, and it's things like VDI, which allows us to stream desktops securely to the edge, and then about 4 years ago we acquired a company called AirWatch, which was and still the leader in unified endpoint management. Back then it was called MDM, then it became EMM, and then now it's unified endpoint management. And throughout that transformation, we've kept our leadership position in the market, and that's been very exciting. So under that umbrella, end user experiences is essentially everything the end user will ever face. So this is the tools and the solutions, the applications that IT delivers to their employees, sometimes their partners and customers. So everything that you and I, as part of the organization, would see on our devices.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that. So you and I have been in the front lines of digital transformation for a long time.
Yeah.
We've had multiple...
Don't age us.
I know, a long time, through multiple companies and transformations within technology. So talk to me about, your background. What prepared you for being able to take this kind of responsibility today?
Well, number one, I want to make sure that my team gets the credit. I'm surrounded by some amazing people. I'm very fortunate to be part of that, and that has really just made this job a lot easier. But in terms of my background, I've been a fan of technology, specific mobile technology. I would say, given the current transformation, a lot of this, you can say it's cloud, you can say it's mobile, but it's really user experience is very key. So I've spent many years at Microsoft and mobile companies like Microsoft, Qualcomm, and Palm. And then about 8-9 years ago, I made a pivot and said, hey, there's a lot of things going on in enterprise. Let's go there. And so, that's when you and I first interacted. I was part of a company called Sybase, which at that time was dabbling in mobile platforms, and then later on was part of SAP. And that really, SAP made a large investment around mobile enterprise enablement and technology, so I was fortunate to be part of that, and then now with VMware. So I've been really excited about how things are transforming, just even from the experience perspective, right? The fact that we are seeing a lot of the best practices that were put in place from the mobile days now translating to everything that we touch, whether it be the PCs with Windows 10 or the Macs, but also other things like IoT devices, the smart displays, the smart conference room solutions. All aspects of our life is being refreshed, and that's pretty exciting.
Absolutely. So you and I, when we were talking over the years, it was really hard work to actually make the stuff we were talking about.
Yeah.
So to make a mobile application, to integrate it with the back end, to secure it, to synchronize it if it was online and offline. You add up all those different components, and I think that's probably some of the reasons why the adoption of some of the enterprise mobility stuff took longer than we expected in the market. It was just a lot of work because there was a lot of missing pieces that you had to build yourself, a lot of work you just had to do. What has changed today that kind of brings that whole environment together and makes it much easier to implement all these kind of edge and end-user computing tools?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that have changed. I mean, that question, it's kind of amazing to think about the transformation that organizations have seen even over the last 8-9 years. Yeah. So executives used to think of cloud as something that they would never move to.
Right.
That was 8-9 years ago. Some were starting to dabble on it, but most of them thought of this as a consumer type platform and architecture. That's no longer true. All of them have some kind of cloud strategy. If they don't, they're being challenged by their board to explore whether they should have one and really validate why they don't have the economic efficiencies of cloud inside their organization. So if you look at what's enabled a lot of this rapid transformation, number one, the cloud tools have matured, right? The ability for you to have applications in the cloud using modern authentication, modern architecture using microservices, that's really enabled a lot of the complexity to go away. For the organizations that have on-prem, they have to deal with that as well, but there are solutions out there from everything from data integration solutions to application development frameworks and whatnot. Those are also being enhanced. At VMware, we see both, right? Our goal here is to deliver that hybrid cloud convergence experience for our customers, regardless of what that may look like in terms of their platform, right? You heard earlier this week, Pat and Andy Jassy announced that RDS is coming to VMware on-prem. So we're now seeing...
Let's take an acronym alert. RDS is? Relational
data storage.
Yeah.
So it's basically their cloud database.
Yeah.
And they're delivering that on-prem on VMware.
Wow.
And that's pretty mind-blowing to think about it, that they've chosen VMware to partner. But what that basically means is that the same way you develop software in the cloud will run on-prem, and quite frankly, vice versa, right? So what that really means is you now have true elasticity between on-prem and cloud.
Wow.
And that's very exciting. So I think the cloud layer has really helped accelerate the transformation. The second piece of that pie is that the services layer has also become more enriched. More organizations are using identity management services.
Right.
More of them have already made investments into API consolidation or some kind of API gateway.
Right.
So that obviously makes the
because those things used to be just like hard coded or bespoke, or
I mean,
it was painful.
Exactly, bespoke. Sometimes you're coding up APIs in legacy languages, and you gotta find a developer that made.
My team did so much of that. We made our living back probably like in 2003, 4, and 5, just custom creating solutions so they could have a mobile front end to a back end system.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those days, I wouldn't say they're behind us, but certainly I think we have a template now for how to address that. I think the modern operating systems have really stabilized and settled into an architecture that we think is going to be in place for a while, which unleashes and unhinders a lot of organizations from making that long-term strategic investment, right? So you look at the stability around iOS, Android, especially with their investment in Android Enterprise and their containerization approach, Microsoft with Windows 10 and their embracing modern management, which we started in that journey with them with the Windows team, and really bet big.
And I remember, Tony, when Apple did not try to support enterprise at all. And then over the years, they've also added a lot of different things to make some of those functions easier for
Yeah,
enterprises.
and I think Apple is interesting, right? They're certainly a consumer company at heart, and they're really about the end user experience, and they care about that very much in privacy and security. So we really enjoy our relationship with Apple. We have a great relationship with them. As a matter of fact, we are doing joint events here at VMworld with them, and they really see that in order for them to have further impact into the way that people live, right? They need to have influence into the enterprises, because consumers are not going to drive the world. The GDP of the world is still primarily driven by organizations and enterprises. So for them to be able to go into retail and transform the way seasonal workers work, or even part-time college students are able to enjoy and be successful in their first job, be it part-time job or whatnot. From that all the way to doctors and hospitals doing remote medicine and doing having a digital presence to look up electronic medical records inside an operating room. I think we love seeing that, because that's really changing the way we work, changing the way that people do their job and excel at what they do.
My daughter, Rebecca, is a nurse, and the entire hospital system just got all new iPhones.
Yeah.
To be able to work, and every nurse comes in, checks in, logs in, boom, and that's what they communicate with all day long.
That's right. And there are so many things that we can do with digital assets, be it apply AI or ML, or just even something as simple as like not having to deal with trying to read someone's handwriting. Reducing error in those environments is critical, right? And I think a lot of times people underestimate how many human errors are involved in a complex process. And when it comes to life and death, obviously we want that to be as minimal as possible.
Absolutely. So Tony, talk to us about specifically VMware's Workspace ONE.
Yeah.
Talk to us about kind of what are the major components of it that make up the Workspace ONE.
Yeah, absolutely. Workspace ONE is something that we're very excited about. It is a composition of some key technologies that are unique to VMware that we put together to build a solution. Now, the notion of a digital workspace was actually pioneered by Noah Wasmer, who's now the co-GM of our organization. Many, many years ago, he first was at VMware, and then actually did a stint at a few mobile companies, one of them being Apple, and then came back, and we were very fortunate to have him back. He defined this notion of workspace where all your tools and assets and content can be aggregated together. Now, at that time, it was sort of in the context of desktop and virtual desktops. Fast forward now, what we launched and announced in 2016, and we continue to deliver on, is this notion of a holistic view on mobile digital presence and workspaces. So the first thing to do is to ensure that your devices are provisioned and ready to go, right? So that means we're managing the device, we're delivering content to the device. Now, management may not always be this draconian thing. Sometimes you do want a fully curated, controlled kiosk that you want to place in the middle of the show floor. Sometimes it's a BYOD. So that spectrum of management and spectrum of services delivery we provide holistically across multiple platforms, would be iOS, Android, Windows, Macs, or even Chromebooks. Now, on top of that, which we call UEM, Unified Endpoint Management, is a set of applications and services that enables the delivery of digital value. In that sense, it's traditionally for EUC, that's application virtualization. So virtual desktops, application virtualization, we deliver that as a service now on top of the Workspace ONE platform. Then we also have things like content services to securely deliver content, and that technology is what today enables major airlines that use the Workspace ONE suite to deliver electronic flight bags
Wow.
to their pilots,
Yep.
right? Saving millions of dollars.
Jepson, isn't that what they're called? The Jepson?
Jepson is a ISV in that ecosystem, but
Okay.
our customers like United Airlines, Delta Airlines,
Got it.
they use that solution to number one, save fuel in the cockpit, because they no longer have to haul these very heavy books. But then it also allows them to do new things, such as like search documents that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to do on an analog platform.
Absolutely.
So these layer of services also include identity, an identity broker, which means that we need the identity services to be in place so that we can deliver the value of things like single sign-on and multi-factor authentication. We recently announced a partnership with Okta, who's a leading cloud identity provider. We're very excited about that.
I think they're here as well.
They are. They actually they co-sponsored several events. They're here with a big presence. We have several flagship customers that are joint customers with us and Okta. So the relationship is phenomenal, and we're very excited about that. The services there now will continue to evolve, and of course there's like the Workspace ONE experience. There's directory services, there's an application catalog, application lifecycle management. So that layer is the sort of the core muscle of the platform. So we've got the device management, we've got the application services, and then finally the top layer is the user experience. And that's something I'm very passionate about, to ensure that the user gets the most simple, the most elegant experience the moment that they engage with their enterprise. The number one feedback these days, especially if you survey millennials, is that they say, I get this beautiful experience on my smart device, whether it be iOS or an Android, and then they go to work and then they see this screen from the 80s, right? And that just doesn't resonate innovation. And so we're really helping organizations break the barriers and drive that transformation.
Oh, that's fascinating. I'm just, in my mind, I'm thinking back to the days when I was doing product management as part of an executive team at a mobile software company. And all this stuff you're talking about was outside of the scope of our platform. And yet it was all so necessary to really do rollouts. And you guys have brought her all together in a unified environment there. That's tremendous. What's missing now from that? Because you've done so much. What's still missing out there that makes it difficult?
So, I mean, Kevin, believe it or not, I actually think that we're still in the early innings of this ball game. One of the things that an approach that we've taken that others have not, and we really believe in this notion, is that, and this inherent in the culture of VMware, which is this notion of being open. We're an open platform. Our expectation is that our partners and ecosystem is going to help us in the journey in terms of innovation. So we launched something in the spring called Trust Network as an example of our openness to security. The notion is that today organizations are facing the threats of cybersecurity, and they have to use whatever tool possible, and often they have to have multiple. Now, there is often the burden of deploying multiple solutions. We understand that. And what we want to do is, through Workspace ONE Intelligence, which is our analytics and ML platform, aggregate and integrate the data signals and the security signals so that we can apply real-time or near real-time remediation. So I'll give you an example. So today, many of our partners tell us, we can tell the admin all we want. We can throw up alarm all over the place that we think these devices are insecure. But we can't automate the next steps. VMware, you can, because you have management layer and you have application delivery there. You can have the identity brokering. So you can shut off access, you can stop the applications, you can remove the applications, you can shut down the machine, you can wipe the machine. How do we work together to make sure that whatever is detected gets automated to do auto remediation or self?
And then you could be using machine learning, pattern recognition. You could use AI to try to do all of those things in near real time as you're pointing out.
Yeah.
So the intelligent layers.
That's right. That's exactly right. So of course, before we even get too far ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
this first step in that journey is to have the connectivity, right? To have the plumbing so that we have the right integrations, the right data flows, the right data models, so then we can do the analysis.
So that's the future.
That's right.
All right.
Yep.
Perfect. Tony, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, for sharing kind of an update on VMware and Workspace ONE with all of us.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Tony.
Appreciate it.
And thank you guys for joining.